Part 3. Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito. Author, Bulletin U. Chapter 21. A girl named Chia. Hearing the surname Chia, Jia Yan, who was hiding behind the door, couldn't help but feel a heartbeat in his heart. Is the Jia they are talking about me? Or is it another Jia's surname with the same pronunciation? But the ensuing conversation between the two made Jia Yan feel as if he had fallen into an ice cave, and his whole body instantly became stiff. Oh? What's going on with this girl named Chia? The bearded man asked strangely. I heard that this girl's brother was beaten to death by men assigned by Yun a month ago, but the accident report said it was a car accident, and someone arranged by the Yu family has been blamed. But this girl is quite capable. Her family members have all gone back. She is the only one who feels a lot of doubts. She secretly stayed alone to investigate what happened. In order to obtain information, she even went to work in a restaurant. It is quite rare to say that. In the end, she really found out what happened. Think about it, what will happen to a little girl like this who can't find a way to file a complaint? Anyway, the informant told me that this little girl went to buy a dagger or something at noon, probably to take advantage of the Yu family's party. I'm looking for revenge against Yun. It's my little sister. Jia Yan, who was hiding behind the door, felt as if his mind was being struck by lightning. My head is roaring. The brother who was beaten to death must be talking about himself. And the girl named Jia is definitely the younger sister Jia Lin. Little sister. Why are you so stupid? Why are you so stupid? What time is it now? It's almost 4 o'clock. Jia Yan couldn't listen to the conversation between the two killers at all. He jumped up from behind a hidden door and flew towards the open window as fast as he could. Oh, I was shocked, such a big mosquito, the bearded voice still sounded behind Jia Yan's ears. Huh? Is it possible for such a big mosquito to appear in the city? The young man wearing glasses was very calm. But the voices of the two people had already faded away quickly. Jia Yan's wings were beating extremely fast, and he was flying towards the road at the fastest speed. Although he can't think of a way to stop it, he must go. Stop the girl. Because no matter whether the little sister's move is successful or not, she herself will definitely be in danger. Jia Yan's heart twitched. This little sister has been the best relationship with him since he was a child. The reason why they are 3 years apart is that Jia Yan, the older brother, is just right. He is both sensible and able to play with his sister. In addition, Jia Yan is already relatively stable. He is so well behaved that his sister has been very dependent on her brother since she was a child. Jia Yan could imagine how painful it would be for her little sister when the news of her death was known. Anyone who has watched his good brother grow up would feel uncomfortable if he dies like this. But Jia Yan never thought that his sister would have the courage to do such a thing. Jia Yan could imagine how many hardships and obstacles he would encounter if he secretly stayed in a big city like Shanghai and even investigated the cause of his brother's death privately. But she still investigated until now and even found the real criminal. For her dead brother, the younger sister worked really hard. Is this still my little sister who tells me everything and still cries all the time? Such a young girl is so strong that Jia Yan felt heart-wrenching pain just looking at her. Lin. Don't do anything stupid, brother is coming. Jia Yan ran towards the vehicles on the street as fast as he could. Even though he no longer has the power to protect his sister, he will still go. Because he is the older brother. The streets are full of cars and horses, and all kinds of cars are like high-speed horses. The mosquito that grits its teeth and tries is swept by the strong wind and flies to the roadside again and again. Asshole! Stop some car for me, Jia Yan roared angrily in his heart. However, this is not a busy street, and not many cars stop here. Jia Yan even controlled his mosquito body and rushed towards the car with the window open. However, this attempt was simply a fantasy. He was able to break into the van driven by two killers before, because the two were surveying and mapping the terrain of the wealthy community, and the speed was extremely slow. Otherwise, with the body of a mosquito, it would have been swept away by the strong wind before it even got close. As time passed by, Jia Yan's heart was bleeding. For the first time, he resented his tiny mosquito body so much. If he was reborn into a stronger creature, even a sparrow. It's much better than this mosquito body. No. I can't be in a hurry. It's 4 o'clock at most. If you wait any longer, there will definitely be cars stopping or slowing down. It was impossible for Jia Yan to fly to Fuhao community on his own wings. After all, the distance there was more than 8 or 9 kilometers away. What was different from the 3-kilometer flight the night before was that it was still daytime at this time. Mosquitoes would consume a lot of energy in this hot and sunny environment. Extremely, when he slowly flies over there, everything will probably happen. Finally another 5 minutes passed. A moving car finally stopped on the side of the road because the driver wanted to buy cigarettes. Opportunity, Jia Yan quickly flew towards the car. Little sister. Don't do anything stupid, just wait. Brother, come over right now. Jia Yanfei got into the back seat of the car and looked anxiously at the car owner buying cigarettes, hoping that he would go faster. Jia Yan, don't be too impetuous. Don't be too impetuous. Calm down, and the main problem now is to think about what you can do when you get there later. And how can you do it? Don't be impetuous. Don't be impetuous, Jia Yan. Deep down, try to calm your emotions. Don't be too excited now, otherwise you won't be able to think of any good solutions with this kind of mentality. He is a mosquito, no matter how fast it is caught, even if it flies in front of my little sister, what can he do? So now the first task is to think about the community and what can be done. There must be a way to help this silly kid. Really stupid boy. It is obvious that my brother will avenge his revenge. Why are you so stupid? Silly boy. Gashan community is one of several large-scale areas where wealthy people live in Shanghai. There are too many rich people here, and those who come in and out are all well-known figures in Shanghai. It can be said that rich people with a level of tens of millions do not dare to raise their heads in this community. I'm sorry because I'm too poor. Today is the day when the Yu family, which is considered to be the top family in this community, holds a private party. The security guard at the gate of the community is much busier. Excuse me, miss, who are you looking for? At the gate of the community, Lao Su, a middle-aged security guard with a veteran background, asked a girl who had just got out of a taxi with light makeup on her face, but could not hide her childish look. This girl seems to be the more introverted type. She wears slightly luxurious clothes, but anyone with a discerning eye can tell at a glance that the fabric is not very good. But her face is also very cute, and paired with her slightly youthful expression, she is quite attractive to the opposite sex. The girl wrung her hands and bit her lip with her teeth. Old Sue was worried about whether her lip would be bitten. Then she opened her mouth and said, I am a friend invited by Yu Yuan to the party. Can I come in? The girls were trembling a little when they spoke, which made Lao Su a little strange. Wait a moment, I'll hang up the phone and ask. Lao Su waved his hand and was about to walk into the security booth. At this moment, a customized Hummer series off-road vehicle drove from the road. Sitting on this Hummer was a young fat man with hair that stood on end and was dyed purple. The fat man honked the horn outside the community door. Mr. Hu, you are here, don't worry, I will open the door for you right now. Old Sue put down the phone in his hand, nodded and bent down quickly and pressed the button of the remote control door. The fat man was in the car, chewing gum, and when he was waiting for the door to open, he turned his attention to the pretty girl standing aside. Seeing the girl looking back, the fat man grinned provocatively. The girl looked stunned for a moment, then pursed her lips and walked towards the fat man's Hummer off-road vehicle. Hello, can you let me go in with you? The girl asked in a crisp voice. What's your name? What are you doing here? The fat man bit his chewing gum and turned the corner of his mouth to one side. There was no smile on his face. My name is Jia Lin. I'm going in to attend Yu's party tonight, the girl continued to answer in her playful voice. The remote-controlled door has been fully opened, but the fat man did not drive in. He just bit his gum and looked up and down at the girl standing by the car door. This girl named Jia Lin looks like she is 18 or 19 years old at most. Her face is a typical cute baby face, and she speaks in a playful manner, as if she can make her cry even if she yells. The figure looks good and tastes great. The fat man finally smiled. Get in the car. To be continued. Thanks for the time. Thanks to the book friend whose chrysanthemums are withered for the reward, which is a huge hit, and the reward is basically 100 starting coins. Thank you very much. So the question is, whose chrysanthemums have withered? Anyway, it's not like I'm jumping up, haha. In addition, I would like to thank the book friend Menying Luoluo for tipping me again. You have tipped me many times. Thank you very much for your continued support. By the way, I should be very happy that the status of this book has been changed to A. However, this caused the book to disappear directly from the public author list. Then Bulletin U went to look at the new book list of new signed authors, and then, half a minute later, the expression on Bulletin U's face changed. What kind of list is this? The last place has more than 10,000 index points, it's countless times more awesome than the list of contracted authors. Bai will definitely not say there is anything wrong with this list, haha. Now I ask for your support. The next book, Rebirth of the Giant Mosquito in the Starry Sky, will definitely not have a list or website recommendation for more than a week. Until there is a recommendation, Bai can only rely on everyone's help to survive. I hope everyone can vote for Bai and save it. Of course it would be best if you can give a reward. Thank you very much. Reborn as an Interstellar Giant Mosquito. Author, Bulletin U. Chapter 22. Luxury cars were parked in the exclusive parking area outside the Yu family compound. Tonight, the Yu family was decorated in extremely bright colors. The swimming pool was filled with water toys, and parasols were placed in the open space, waiting for people to use them. Top chefs and waiters invited from outside are also coming and going. Everything is going on in an orderly manner. Seeing the current scene, it is hard to believe that this party was just a whim of the Yu family. Starting from noon, there is such an exaggerated pomp in the evening, which can also show from the side how much ability and means this Yu family has. 5 o'clock in the evening. Yun stood at the door of the courtyard with a smile. He changed into a pure white suit in the evening. While his appearance was solemn, he still looked young and elegant. It has to be said that Yun is actually a rare handsome young man. It's just that his handsomeness has not been reflected in his character. At his core, this guy is just a second-generation rich man who relies on his family's power to run rampant in the countryside. The gold and jade on the outside are just the stuff inside. Dru, why are you still interested in holding a party despite your busy schedule? I thought that Mr. Yu was so forgetful that he forgot about our friends. A young man in his mid-20s, wearing a crisp suit, walked into the Yu family compound from the parking lot. As soon as he entered, he started to flatter Yun, who was standing at the door to greet him. Mr. Zhang started from scratch and now has tens of millions of assets. This is the kind of genius our generation should learn from. Yun shook hands with the young man. After a few words of greeting, he waved his arm inward and said with a smile, "Please come in." Naturally, the young man entered the Yu family compound with a smile. "Hello, Director Yu, haha, long time no see." Another young man from a rich family came over from the parking lot. The people entering the Yu family compound now are all high-level employees of Yun Company, or rich young men who have been in the same circle since childhood, but there are not many serious business partners. Everyone who comes and goes calls Yun Director Yu. This is not nonsense. After all, Yu Yuan has a wealthy father. In order to train his son, he not only let his son serve as the vice chairman of an important branch, but also a medium-sized investment consulting company was opened specifically for his son, in order to hone his incompetent son's business vision. Although Yu Tao also knows that his son Yu Yuan is a prodigal and has done many bad things. However, he is still the only member of the Yu family. If he dies, only the son can inherit a large amount of the Yu family's property. Therefore, in order for the Yu family to continue to prosper, Yu Tao could only try his best to cultivate his son. Even in order to help his son have a smoother future, he searched for a matchmaker more than a year ago. After paying a huge price, he negotiated a marriage contract for their children with the Ding family from another first-class family in Shanghai. That's right, the object of this engagement is none other than Ding Liman. The marriage of the two families will have an unimaginable impact on the Shanghai stock market. Even Yu Yuan may become a member of the Ding family in the future because of Ding Liman's relationship. Although it is unlikely that he will be in charge of the Ding family, he will still be able to rely on him when the time comes. Son-in-law relationship, but as long as he gets one more benefit, the status of the top Yu family will be within his reach. Of course, the prerequisite for realizing this dream is that Yu Yuan cannot commit suicide by himself. It's a pity that Yu Yuan did commit suicide. For his fiancée, who had the same family background and status, and even had a stunning appearance, Yu Yuan actually still treated ordinary women the same way he did. Arrogant and possessive. After discovering that Ding Liman was very close to another man, Yu Yuan became angry. He used his rights and called 5 or 6 home security personnel to separate the two people. Even the man repeatedly during the chase, he frantically ordered his men to beat the man to death. The one he killed was Jia Yan. But afterwards, Yu Yuan was scared again. What he is afraid of is not beating people to death. He does not need to hide this kind of thing. He only needs to say that he had a conflict with others and then his men accidentally beat people to death. As his father, Yu Tao will definitely resist this matter. What Yu Yuan is afraid of is Ding Liman. If this fiancé, whose family background is basically the same as his, comes home and says that he has beaten her, then the marriage that his father Yu Tao paid a huge price and vigorously promoted will definitely be ruined. I have to say that although Yu Yuan has done many bad things, he still has a certain mind. He started to use the dead Jia Yan. Using this boy, Ding Liman, who has no relationship between men and women, but has a friendship, to threaten Ding Liman. If she doesn't cooperate, Jia Yan, who is controlled by Yu Yuan, will die. Yu Yuan knew that if he said this, the kind-hearted girl Ding Liman would definitely take the bait. Sure enough, the facts were exactly as he had planned. Ding Liman took the bait and even agreed with him to enter the Yu family now to adapt to life in the Yu family. Their marriage will also be scheduled in half a year. Everything is going well, isn't it? While Yu Yuan was entertaining the friends who came, he also looked at a room on the first floor of the Yu family's palace-like mansion with sinister eyes. That's Ding Liman's room. The only pity is that I still dare not force Ding Liman to have sex with him. My fiancée is so beautiful, and her temperament is absolutely top-notch. I have experienced so many women, but none of them can surpass her. However, he is his wife soon, are he still afraid that he will not have a chance? Thinking of this, the corners of Yu Yuan's mouth curved even more. Yu Yuan. Just when Yu Yuan was distracted, a loud voice sounded from the parking lot. Who? Don't call me Dong Yu. Yu Yuan's face was a little angry. Just by this sound, he felt that the person coming was a little shady. Yu Yuan looked over, and then he smiled. The person who came was a fat man. This fat man's face was full of fat, and his hair was combed upside down and dyed purple. The fat man was biting chewing gum in his mouth, and his well-developed chewing muscles made the flesh on his face tremble. The shape of this fat man is too high-end, so high-end that ordinary people cannot appreciate this level of art. Of course, the more important thing is his own identity. The only son of the Li family, a top family in Shanghai, Li Sushan. Haha, isn't this Sushan? Come on, I haven't seen you since you said you were going to study abroad last time. How are you doing lately? Yun welcomed this uninvited fat man too much. You know, he was just having a good time at the party, and he didn't expect to invite any respectable people. If Li Sushan can be present, it will definitely be an opportunity to greatly enhance the level of this party. Huh, Yun looked at the fat man. Walking to the Yu family compound with Li Sushan, there was also a girl. This girl has a pure and cute face, and her expression is very endearing and pitiful. She is not tall, only about 1.5 meters tall, but she has a very proud figure with such a height. With her childish face, she really attracts the attention of men. Yun couldn't help but smile jokingly when he saw the girl following Li Sushan step by step. It's really yours, he made an expression that only men would use to Li Sushan, who walked up to him. Li Sushan also smiled, haha, please give it to me. Thank you very much. Li Sushan's words left Yun confused. What does it mean to give up to you? However, he didn't mention it at the moment. He just smiled as if it was normal, then pointed to the inside of the compound and said, "Go in, I will come over to you in a while, and we brothers will have a good chat." Hee, okay, I was just wanting to talk to you. My study abroad is fake, but going to jail is real. Li Sushan bit his gum. Then, he walked inside the Yu family. The girl behind him also slowly approached. Her eyes were fixed on Yun, it was an indescribable gaze. If I had to describe it in any way, it would be the look you would give when you see your enemy. The girl's green-white fingers reached into the small satchel she carried with her. Just when this girl wanted to take something out of her satchel. "Hey, Jialin, come with me," Li Sushan shouted in the courtyard. The girl trembled all over, and her face suddenly turned very pale for some reason. She was frightened by the voice, and the satchel in her hand almost fell to the ground. Big beads of sweat slid down her cheeks. Fortunately, she was not wearing heavy makeup, so her face did not turn into a big stained face because of the sweat beads. She lowered her head and quickly walked past Yun without saying a word to Yun from beginning to end. "Jialin?" Yun couldn't help but look back at this girl who was behaving strangely. I seem to have heard the name Jialin somewhere. To be continued. Thanks for the time. There were too many book friends who tipped last night. Bulletin was extremely excited. The first is the Tiandeo Rewards Diligent 233 Rich Man. This time, the number of rewards has increased so much that I can't even count them. It's 588, 110 points. I'm really rich. Thank you very much for your tip. Next is the reward of 588 starting coins from book friend Damon Collin. 588. Did buy you meet another rich man? Ahem, I yelled as usual, rich, please give me a hug. There is also the 4 years a dream 40 rich man, this time it is 400 starting coins, directly hitting the second place in the fan list. Congratulations. Also thanks for the reward, haha. And 73 Lulin book friend also rewarded again. Thank you very much Bulletin you. I laughed and cried and forgot about it. Book friends are still waiting for updates in the middle of the night after giving rewards. Bulletin you wants to tell you that they really won't be updated in the middle of the night, don't stay up late in the future. Hee. Whose chrysanthemums withered, new friends and book friends rewarded each other with more than 400 starting coins in one breath. Is he another rich man? Sincere gratitude. Oh, finally, I would like to thank Menying Luoluo again for the reward. My brother insists on giving rewards every day. Baiyu is very happy to meet such a supportive reader friend. If everyone hits it, there will be a big list. Baiyu is also very grateful to the book friends who gave recommendations. Thank you. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito. Author, Bulletin U. Chapter 23. Where have you heard that? Yun felt that he knew too many random people. He couldn't remember them at this time and shook his head indifferently. By the time almost all the guests had arrived, the time came to 6 o'clock in the evening. The parking lot outside the Yu family compound is filled with all kinds of luxury cars, some of which are customized versions that even those with money cannot buy. This is just a lower-level wealthy party, which shows how wealthy some wealthy families can be. I'm glad everyone came to my house. Today is a party for us young people. Let's eat, drink and have fun. Yun entered the house and saw that the first floor of the courtyard was completely open today, with lights shining all around and colorful balls hanging on it. One after another, young but wealthy guests began to have a casual meal, or went to the hall to slowly sway and dance to the music. There are also some girls invited from outside. All of these girls are very beautiful. Most of them are models or second and third tier film and television personnel. Now they are wearing cool clothes, holding the trays in their hands, and working as waiters together with the skilled waiters. Of course, it is unknown whether some of Brother Zhu's men would date these girls in private. Even if someone does this, no one will pay attention to anything. This kind of thing is just common and normal, just like Yun now. When a girl passes by him with a wine glass, Yun smiles and gently hugs the girl, pulling the girl into his arms. Are you angry that I asked you to do this job tonight? Yun asks softly in the girl's ear. How dare you be angry? After all, I am just one of the many playthings of Mr. Yu. The girl's eyes were as charming as silk. She said she was not angry, but her expression was a little sulky. Yun smiled slightly. This girl is a relatively well-known model in Shanghai, but it was all because of him. The appearance of Ding Limen has already made this female model very angry. Now that he is instructing her to do this kind of work, he will definitely be angry. I'm kidding you, change your clothes and be my female companion tonight, Yun said softly in her ear. I listen to you. The girl's expression changed from anger to joy. She knew that Ding Limen, the real daughter-in-law of the Yu family, was in the house. This seems very exciting. Yun pinched the girl's plump face playfully, and then she gave him a slightly flirtatious glance and walked into the changing room. Yun, it's hardest to accept the kindness of a beauty. Aren't you engaged to the daughter of the Ding family? Why are you still playing this trick? The fat man with purple hair came to him. I'm just playing for fun, I won't let Ding Limen know about it, Yun smiled. Not far away from the fat man, the girl who seemed out of tune with the environment was slowly following him. Yun looked at this little girl with interest. In their circle, most of the girls they met were very smooth and worldly. But now that he suddenly saw such a pure and innocent girl, Yun seemed to be a little interested. But this girl was brought by Li Sushan, and he wouldn't dare to take her love with a knife. The two of them were standing by the swimming pool, talking about something. For about 10 minutes, the timid girl just stood there, not knowing how to move around, standing very stiffly. She was looking at the surrounding scenery blankly. For a high school sophomore in a third-tier small city, such a scene is something that can only be seen on TV. For her brother's revenge, she came here step by step, but when she really came in front of her enemy, she flinched a little at that moment. In fact, that's right. She is just a high school student. With her affection for her brother, she was able to overcome her timid nature. It took her 1 month to investigate to this extent, which is already an incredible achievement. But actually pulling out a knife and stabbing someone is another matter. No. My brother is dead, but this murderer can still enjoy it here. My brother Izumi Yuzi must also be very angry. Jiulin, you must work hard. Only you can preside over my brother's revenge and justice. Jia Lin bit her lip. Don't be afraid, don't be afraid. Don't be afraid, don't be afraid. Jia Lin walked towards the two people talking. Both men stopped talking and looked at the girl, who had been standing as if she was self-conscious. Chairman Yu. Can I talk to you alone for a while? Jia Lin said. Her voice was still a little shaky, but it was much better than at the beginning. Oh, Yu Yuan looked at Jia Lin strangely, and then looked at Li Sushan. Li Sushan shrugged helplessly and said, you were the one who invited me here. Just pretend that I didn't say what I said before. You two can go chat. Brother, you are so blessed. What did I invite you to do? Didn't you bring it in? Yu Yuan was stunned for a moment, but he didn't dwell on this point. Okay, the beautiful lady made an appointment, and of course I abide by it. Come, let's sit over there, Yu Yuan pointed to the corner of the hall not far away. Okay, Jia Lin showed an unnatural smile, and slowly opened the small shoulder bag she carried with her fingers. Jia Lin, you can do it. Jia Lin, you can do it. Jia Lin found that her mouth was dry. The two walked to a corner of the dimly lit hall. Yu Yuan looked at the girl walking with him. This girl doesn't seem to be used to dressing up. Although the light makeup on her face is not ugly, it actually destroys her own smart temperament. If you talk about it, she is also a very cute and charming type. Yu Yuan didn't know what he thought of, and a smile appeared on his lips. Okay, little beauty, what do you want to talk to me about? Yu Yuan asked in a teasing tone. He knew that 90% of the girls who were looking for him alone were asking for something from him. As long as they asked for something, they would be prepared for that kind of thing. It looks like tonight will be a good night. Yu Yuan's wanton eyes wandered over the girl's curvy figure. This bastard. Jia Lin's eyes have become full of hatred again. The dagger she put in her shoulder bag was tightly held by her 5 green-white fingers. She could feel her heart beating violently. Jia Lin, you can do it. Jia Lin, you can do it. Jia Lin, you can do it. What do you want to talk about? Tell me. Yu Yuan didn't seem to notice the girl's expression at all. Instead, he raised his thumb and winked at a male guest passing by not far away to express that tonight, probably about to win another little beauty. Yu Yuan. The girl slowly took out a handle from her bag. Connected under the handle is the sharp dagger blade. Brother, I am going to avenge you. Jia Lin was ready to take action at this time. Ah, dash dash. But at this time, a sharp scream of panic came from not far away on the first floor. Huh. When Yu Yuan heard this voice, he couldn't help but frown. He didn't wait for the little beauty in front of him who was frightened by the scream to make her next move. He already ran away in that direction. Only Jia Lin was left, who had already taken out half of the dagger, and even a hint of sharp cold light peeked out of her shoulder bag. He almost collapsed on the spot. Many people in the hall were attracted by the screams. Only this girl leaned against the wall softly. Elder brother. 2 big tears rolled down from the corners of her eyes. The girl didn't understand. This time she was mentally prepared to take action even if the consequences were serious. But why was the scream ruined when he was about to take action? Most of the courage I finally mustered up has been lost again. What she didn't know was, this scream was exactly what his brother, who had been reborn as a tiny mosquito, racked his brains to come up with in order to stop her from doing stupid things. Time, go back to 10 minutes ago. Jia Yan's figure flew out of a taxi. It took Jia Yan too much time to come to the Gashan community. After all, it is impossible to find a direct ride here so smoothly. In some areas, you even have to fly yourself to find another car to take. There was even a traffic jam today. At that time, Jia Yanfei was in the car, but the car window was closed by the car owner who turned on the air conditioner, causing him to waste another half an hour. As a result, when we arrived at Gashan community, The party had already started and the sun was setting. Little sister. When Jia Yan fluttered his body and arrived at the courtyard of the Yu family, he quickly found his sister who looked out of place in the crowd, standing there blankly. This little girl is still the sister I know. She put makeup on her face that she had never used before, and she also had her hair done. All these efforts are to avenge the murder of my brother. Little sister, silly child, Jia Yan flew to Jia Lin's isolated figure in distress. The mosquito flew buzzingly. But Jia Lin seemed to be in the middle of a battle between heaven and man and didn't notice it at all. Jia Yan noticed that his sister's palm was always clutching the satchel in her hand. There must be the young killer in glasses, the dagger in question. Little sister, you don't even dare to kill an insect, why are you so stupid? Jia Yan's heart was bleeding. The huge mosquito hovered around the little girl for a long time under the dim light. Jia Yan also saw clearly that the two people chatting there were none other than that bastard Yu Yuan and another fat young man with purple hair. No, my little sister is standing here, so close to Yu Yuan, she must still want to do something. Jia Yan suddenly flew up. I'm sorry, but, the only solution I can think of is this. Huge male Anopheles mosquitoes buzzed among the crowd, weaving in and out deftly. To be continued. Some readers left a message saying that thanking every book friend who tipped the book would greatly influence reading. Buletin Yu thought about it for a while and felt the same way, so from now on he would report the names of those who rewarded books and thank them all, so that the number of words would be slightly smaller. Thanks to Menying Luoluo, the book friend, I laughed and cried and forgot for the reward, reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito author, Buletin Yu. Chapter 24. Taking advantage of the darkness, male Anopheles mosquitoes, which are much larger than ordinary Anopheles mosquitoes, shuttled quickly through the air. A smiling man passed by, and a beautiful woman passed by. The life Yu Yuan lived was truly luxurious that Jia Yan could not even imagine. It is simply unfair for the children of powerful people to kill an individual and still be able to continue to live such a life. Jia Yan flew quickly. Actually, my method is the most impossible one. Jia Yan finally jumped out from a place with a large crowd. Where is her room? I hope the windows and doors are not closed. Jia Yan quickly searched the building. It's really hard to use you, he sighed inwardly. That's right, Jia Yan is looking for Ding Limen. At noon, he saw Yu Yuan threatening Ding Limen. Jia Yan remembered that at that time, Yu Yuan once said, I will invite friends to play at home tonight. You can hide in the room then, don't come out to me. There must be something wrong with holding a party at home but not letting your fiancé show up. The appearance of Ding Limen will definitely bring some chaos to this party, and it may even end on an unhappy note. At that time, the younger sister could only retreat sadly. So Jia Yan's only way is to let Ding Limen appear. And how to make her appear? The method is very simple. Jia Yan apologized in his heart. He saw closed doors. I was anxious, but I had no choice but to look for the door one by one. He flew outside and checked the windows. Found it. Just a few minutes later, Jia Yan's eyes lit up. In a room with an open window, he saw a pretty figure sitting on a chair through the slightly opened curtains. Jia Yan's body passed through the gap in the curtain and flew in. There was a slight musky smell in the room. This musky smell contained the smell of potion to repel and kill mosquitoes. Jia Yan immediately felt dizzy. But he couldn't care so much now. Jia Yan controlled his body and rushed towards the pretty figure quickly. What he didn't know was that at this time, his little sister Jia Lin had already summoned up the courage again, holding the handle of the knife in her hand, and walked towards the corner of the hall with Yu Yuan. I hope what Ding Limen said before is true. Jia Yanfei prayed in his heart as he flew towards Ding Limen. Jia Yan has known Ding Limen for several months. They got together through their similar interests in animals and plants. Unlike Jia Yan, Ding Limen's dream is to become a botanist. But when Jia Yan jokingly said, if you have a dream, Go and make it come true, Ding Liman smiled bitterly. She said that she is very afraid of insects, especially larger ones, and she often screams when she sees them. Such a person cannot become a botanist. Because botanists often have to go into the mountains to collect plant specimens or compare data, and because of his natural fear of insects, Ding Liman is destined not to become a botanist. Jia Yan naturally wrote down such an important conversation. And now, he is an insect. And it is a huge Anopheles mosquito with a body size of 1.5 centimeters. Most people are definitely not afraid of ordinary mosquitoes when they see them. Their first reaction is to rush over and swat them with their palms. But when you see a 1.5 centimeters mosquito, your first reaction is definitely not to swat it. Instead, you are startled, and then you think about swatting it or doing something else. And Ding Liman, who is very afraid of giant insects, will definitely make her scream if he suddenly appears and scares her. The girl is sitting on the chair. Listening to the noise outside, Ding Liman felt a little lonely. She is also a princess-like existence in the Ding family. Although her prominent family background and the love of her family do not give her the unique sense of arrogance that a child from a rich family has, but when she came to the Yu family and suffered such treatment, she still felt that Ding Liman, who has been the center of everyone since childhood, is very uncomfortable. Compared to this kind of party, she prefers to go out with friends, sit in a small shop, and then talk about the wild world with friends who share the same hobby. Just like Jia Yan. Ding Li dreamed of the boy who was a little bit of an animal nerd, and couldn't help but smile. That boy likes animals and even studies insects, but he really doesn't dare to talk to him about them. I'm so afraid of insects that I get goosebumps just talking about them. Thinking of insects, Ding Liman smiled and felt a little goosebumps. Just when she was laughing at herself, suddenly a dark object from the corner of her eye rushed towards her cheek at an extremely fast speed. Ding Liman quickly blocked it with his arms. But her reaction was a bit slow, and this thing, which was more than 1 centimeter in size, flapped its wings and rushed towards it with a buzzing sound. Then, as she waved her arms, make an evasive move. Pop! Just 6 long legs, stepping on the girl's pretty little nose. Jia Yan was so cruel, he was afraid that the girl would not be afraid of the huge mosquito and would just stick it in someone's face. This would scare the average person who is not afraid of insects. Ah! Ding Liman suddenly screamed. Especially when he saw this monster stuck to his face, with its faint compound eyes, looking into his eyes right in front of him. Ding Liman, a girl with a quiet personality, immediately screamed in a higher octave. She had not deceived Jia Yan before, and she was indeed extremely afraid of insects. Bug! Ding Liman jumped up from his chair and reached out to swat the huge Anopheles mosquito on his nose. But before that, Jia Yan controlled his body and flew up from the girl's nose. But instead of flying away, he circled around this girl's head and kept harassing her. Ah! Ding Liman really collapsed and kept waving his hands. But this creature, which looked like an enlarged version of a mosquito, had no intention of letting her go. Ding Liman finally couldn't bear it anymore, opened the door and ran out. The mosquito didn't follow her out anymore, but after driving the girl out of the room, she hung in the air and watched her leaving quietly. I'm sorry, I just had to do this to save my sister. Outside the room door, a series of running sounds were coming quickly. With such continuous screaming happening in Yu's house, most people thought something had happened. The person running at the front was Yu Yuan. His expression changed a little because he knew that the source of the scream was coming from the room of his fiancée Ding Liman. Did something happen to Ding Liman? Yu Yuan was shocked and confused. When these people saw Ding Liman running out of the room with a look of horror on his face, everyone except Yu Yuan had a look of surprise. What are you doing here? Come back quickly, Yu Yuan walked up to Ding Liman and said in a low voice. Ding Li dreamed of his so-called fiancé, and the first time he saw him, He actually scolded him. Her original desire to find a sense of security disappeared in an instant. He doesn't ask his fiancée why he screamed, and he doesn't want to introduce his friends to him. It turns out that my fiancé is just such a guy. Only now did Ding Liman realize that if she really married such a person, she would never be happy in the future. If I can't get out, it has nothing to do with you. Ding Liman's face suddenly turned cold. "Dru, what's going on?" At this time, someone from behind approached curiously. "Then don't talk nonsense." Yun lowered his voice next to Ding Liman. Ding Liman looked behind him. The insect had not chased him out of the room. It might have left the room through the window. But at this moment, she was choked by Yun's words. Why did she go back to the room again? Why do you have to be so obedient? What's more, some of these guests also know her and are now hiding away. What will others say? So she followed Yun and walked out of the hall. "Director Yu. What's wrong?" The model woman, who had just changed her clothes and put on glamorous makeup, also walked out of the changing room. She came to Yun's side and asked very affectionately. Yun quickly pulled away, but what he did in exchange was for the other party to approach even more provocatively. Ding Liman was behind the two of them. The performance of Yun and this model is completely visible. No wonder I can't come out tonight. Ding Liman suddenly understood the reason why he was not allowed to leave the room. Moreover, he deliberately ordered his fiancée to stay in the room while he played with women outside. How is this kind of mentality different from a pervert? At this time, her determination became even firmer. Let's get to know each other. Of course, many of you may already know her. This is my fiancée, Ding Liman. Walking to the center of the hall, where all the guests were, Yun pretended to be generous and pointed at Ding Liman behind him to introduce them. The model was prompted by his few whispers and hid aside with a look of unwillingness. And in a corner that people didn't notice, a girl who was only 18 or 19 years old was staring blankly at everything that happened on the field with red eyes. After going through untold hardships, she finally came before her enemy. However, despite her two efforts, she failed to make a move. Buzzing, a dark mosquito flew in front of the girl. He saw the girl and the girl saw him. To be continued. There is no list to rely on now, so we strongly need everyone's recommendation votes and collection support. Thank you. Thanks to book friend Menying Luoluo for another tip. Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito. Author, Bulletin Yu. Chapter 25. Buzz, buzz, the sound of mosquitoes flapping their wings is very clear. Little sister, I'm sorry that your brother's departure has made you feel so painful, but don't be so stupid again. Okay. You go home and live your life well. Finish high school and college. Then find a good man to marry and have a chubby little baby. In this case, I will be very happy, brother. As for brother's revenge, he will take revenge himself. In these few days. Buzz buzz. Mosquitoes were still flying in front of the girl. The girl seemed to have a telepathic connection. Looking at this huge Anopheles mosquito, she felt a little strange in her heart. And at this moment, in the hall, a girl whose appearance was definitely better than most of the beauties present also slowly walked to the center of everyone's attention. She is Ding Liman, a little princess of the Ding family. Even if Yun is present, his status in the family is not much different from hers. Next to her was Yun. At this time, he felt that the little model fairy had been arranged. Besides, Ding Liman didn't seem to say anything when he saw the little fairy. Could it be that there are many things like this in the Ding family, so Ding Liman doesn't care? That would be great. Maybe when I get married in the future, I can continue to bring the girl home in an upright manner. Thinking of this, Yun's eyes lit up. Oh, isn't this Ding Liman from the Ding family? When did they get engaged? The Ding family is going to marry the Yu family. This is a bombshell. If they get married and cooperate in business, any one of them might be able to compete with the top families in the city. Some people who didn't know about the upcoming marriage of the Yu family and the Ding family were suddenly very surprised. Some people had already gotten some secret information, and some even knew that Ding Liman had moved into the Yu family courtyard during this period, which was a certainty. Some were envious and some hated, but before these people had time to digest the bombshell news, Ding Liman glanced slightly at Yu Yuan, who was standing aside with a smile on his face, seeming to accept everyone's envious, jealous, and hateful look. Then, she smiled too, with relief. "Hello everyone, I am Ding Liman." Her voice was very clear, as transparent as a clear spring dripping into a pool. Yu Yuan looked at his fiancée with a smile. He believed that although this fiancée had been suppressed by him recently, her IQ and language organization skills were sufficient. He believed that his fiancée could enthusiastically announce the news that the two were about to get married. Although it's a little earlier than scheduled, it's hard for both families to say anything in such a situation, right? Just make up for the engagement party in a few days. Yu Yuan and I did have some contacts some time ago. There seems to be something wrong with Ding Liman's words. The girl was wearing a snow-white home dress, and she stood tall and graceful. She smiled and looked at Yu Yuan next to her. Ever since she came to live in this family, this girl rarely showed such a smile. I think that day, when Yu Yuan saw Ding Liman for the first time, he was fascinated by such a smile. But now that he saw this smiling face again, Yu Yuan's heart skipped a beat for no apparent reason. Ding Liman's voice really verified his heartbeat. "But these contacts are not very happy, so, I'm sorry, Yu Yuan, please just pretend that the marriage never happened." "I'm sorry." Ding Liman's long black hair was flowing freely. She just walked towards the door. "Even if it's night, she has to go home." Yu Yuan was stunned. What kind of change is this? One moment Yu Yuan said that Ding Liman was his fiancée, and the next moment Ding Liman immediately denied it. What kind of drama was going on? The guests were all silent. Even Jia Yan, who had been looking at his sister for a long time in the corner of the hall, tilted his head and looked this way. He had no idea that just by scaring Ding Liman out of the room, he would actually cause a commotion. Even the commotion was bigger than he imagined. Ding Liman is indeed a girl with her own opinions. After a long while, Ding Liman was finally approaching the main entrance of Yu's courtyard. Yu Yuan's angry voice shouted from behind, "Regardless of the consequences, aren't you afraid that your little lover will be torn into pieces by me?" Ding Liman's steps paused slightly. Then she turned back. He said word by word, "Yu Yuan, my Ding family also has its own abilities. If you know better, let my friend go immediately. Otherwise, what awaits Yu family will be the revenge of our Ding family. You yourself, let's figure it out." Ding Liman didn't know that until she summoned up the courage to return home and collect information about Jia Yan, she would learn that her friend of the opposite sex had been killed a month ago. Ding Liman really left. This time, no matter how Yu Yuan's voice roared behind her, her steps were so determined. As the girl walked, her white dress was blown by the gentle breeze that had just entered the night, and the corners of her skirt were flying. Her steps became more and more brisk, and then the smile on her face finally bloomed, like a beautiful epiphyllum bathed in the nightlight, blooming coquettishly. And just when the guests were making noise and Yu Yuan was roaring, a cute girl with conspicuous baby fat on her face also took advantage of the chaos and quietly left the Yu family compound. She was followed by a mosquito, which did not hide its whereabouts. As the girl walked, she turned her head strangely and looked at the mosquito. She was also wondering why the seemingly huge mosquito didn't bite her, but just followed her. Today's process was a failure, but seeing Yu Yuan being regretted by his fiancée made her feel a little calmer, so the girl chose to temporarily return to the rental house today. The huge, dark mosquito relaxed slightly after watching the girl get into the taxi. This accidental destruction of Yun and Ding Liman's marriage was not my original intention, but since I was also one of the reasons, let's consider the interest earned before killing Yun. Jia Yan's eyes were dark, and he looked back at the noisy Gashan community. The interest has been collected, but you still deserve to die. It's your time to die soon. Jia Yan never thought that his death would involve his little sister, and he even took such a big risk today to assassinate Yun. If Jia Yan hadn't caught up in time, my little sister would have already taken action. If he does it, regardless of success or failure, if he commits the murder in full view of the public, and the one he assassinates is Yun, the heir of the Yu family, the little girl's fate will definitely be very miserable. Fortunately, I caught up with it. In order to prevent his sister, who has not completely given up her heart, from continuing to do stupid things, Jia Yan must hurry up. If Yun is not dead, the little sister will definitely have similar dangerous ideas. Not long after Jia Lin left, Jia Yan also left for a ride. He believed that Yun would spend this night in pain and suffering, and would even be criticized and scolded by the elders of the Yu family who got the news. Although this pain is not enough, as a little interest, it is not bad. Next, it's time for him to launch his revenge plan. My mosquito body is still too weak. Although I have some clues about continuing to become stronger is the next step. Now I can only rely on this body to find a way to kill Yun first. After killing Yun, I can pursue my path of becoming stronger with peace of mind. As long as I kill Yun, no matter whether I live or die, at least I will not have any regrets about unfulfilled wishes. Next, I'm going to the city to try one thing. This thing is a crucial factor in whether I can carry out my revenge plan. Although he wasted a lot of time on the way to Gashan community by car, Jia Yan not only thought of the dangerous matter of relying on Ding Liman to destroy the younger sister's assassination of Yun, but also thought of how to use Yun next. Key takeaways from Hitman. When driving at night, you rarely encounter traffic jams. Moreover, if you take a random car from Gashan community, you will basically go to Shanghai City. Is completely opposite to rushing to Gashan community in the afternoon. There will always be cars driving towards you. Travel on other roads. Half an hour later, Jia Yan took control of his body and flew out of a BMW luxury car. He had been sitting in a luxury car that he had never ridden in his life before, listening to the woman in the passenger seat constantly complaining to her husband, "Did you see the party just now? Director Yu's friends all have customized models. Why are you so useless? Why do you drive a BMW with more than 1 million yuan? My dad laughed at you last time because you have no money. Can you please give me some credit?" Jia Yan managed to avoid falling off the sofa he was sitting on. Well, don't compare yourself to others. If you compare yourself to your own life, you will fall into it. A BMW costing more than 1 million yuan is still spoken to like this by his wife, and the man doesn't even dare to talk back. What the hell is this? Jia Yan, whose outlook on life was once again refreshed, got out of the car and cheered up. Next up, it's time for a city-wide screening. Of course, it is an exaggeration to say that the whole city was screened. It was true that he wanted to launch some searches. This search and matching will be the key element for him to use his current body to carry out revenge. To be continued. Thanks to the book friend, I laughed and cried and forgot for another generous reward, ranked 3rd on the fan list. In addition, tomorrow, Sunday, there will be 3 updates. Baiyu does what he says. At the same time, I beg for collection. If you don't know how to collect it, first register a Cheateon.com account, and then click Add to Bookshelf on the book page. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito. Author, Buletin Yu. Chapter 26. Jia Yan controlled his mosquito body and danced in the night sky. When the time finally comes to midnight. In a rental house. A dark mosquito that seemed to have been flying for most of the night flew into the room from a window of this rental house. The next moment, his compound eyes lit up. The owner of this rental house was sleeping soundly in a yurt-style mosquito net with the windows wide open. And on his computer with online games, there were game characters slashing monsters there. This guy is hanging up his computer with his computer on. Jia Yan felt happy, and then flew to the keyboard and mouse. This is the third time I've tried it, I hope it works this time. Speaking of which, there are quite a few people sleeping with their computers on. He looked at the computer's keyboard and mouse. The mouse looks very light and small. The mouse pad is completely a cover paper and looks extremely smooth. Especially the keyboard, the key travel feels very short and very soft. Jia Yan's eyes lit up. It's no good to be happy so early. 3 companies have already failed. Now maybe what's waiting for you to be happy is disappointment, he encouraged himself. Some tired male Anopheles sinensis mosquitoes are hovering in the house. After searching around, I saw a broken ballpoint pen cap under the bed. Jia Yan flew over. There are 6 long legs, 2 stepping on the ground, and the other 4 hovering, firmly grasping the cap of the ballpoint pen. Wake it up for me. Jia Yan yelled hard in his heart. Clatter. After the hat touched the ground slightly, Jia Yan actually grabbed it from the ground. The weight of the pen cap is only 2 or 3 grams. It can be said that humans can hardly feel the weight when holding it in their hands. But for Jia Yan, these 2 or 3 grams are already not light. He held the pen cap hard, flapped his wings hard, and flew out from under the bed. Jia Yan looked at the man who was sleeping like a dead pig on the bed. He was quite young. Young people played online games so much that it was always appropriate to sleep a little deeper. Mosquitoes fly very high, at least 1.5 meters high. Flying directly above the keyboard, Jia Yan controlled his body and slammed down. Whether we can succeed or not depends on now. Snapped. When he held the pen cap and was shocked by the rebounding force of the keyboard, he heard a sound that surprised him. This is the sound of the keyboard being pressed. Jia Yan quickly looked at the computer screen. At this time, the English letter F suddenly appeared in the game chat box on the screen. This F is the button that Jia Yan hit. Sure enough, I can press it. Jia Yan is excited. All 3 of the ones he tried before didn't work. Each time, the keyboard was too hard and he couldn't press it all the way. Even if he picked up some heavy objects that were very heavy for him and hit the keyboard keys together, he still couldn't press them. Unexpectedly, the keyboard of this company is very soft, but he succeeded. A human keyboard generally requires about 1.8 joules of energy to press. However, it is difficult for a mosquito to reach that level of strength, especially when there is no place to borrow force. Jia Yan could only try, holding a heavy object. Can you press the keyboard? Fortunately, the keyboard of this company is very soft. I don't know how soft it is, but he succeeded. This is due to Jia Yan's physical training since birth, and of course, more importantly, the mutation-enhancing effect of the purple-red potion. So, next up is the mouse. Jia Yan flew to the mousepad. The owner of this house was quite unfussy. He thought the mousepad was broken, so he took a piece of paper with a smooth surface and used it as a temporary mousepad. This friction force is very small, which directly facilitates Jia Yan. He's standing next to the mouse. Speaking of which, what is being tested now is the actual strength of the waist and abdomen, as well as the strength of the legs and feet. Jia Yan stood up and pressed his head against the little mouse with his mutated and hardened head. Harder for me. Jia Yan found that he actually moved the mouse. Jia Yan was really lucky to find this strange family. First of all, the owner was sleeping soundly. Next, the computer is not turned off. Of course, there are many people like this, and I believe many people have done similar things. However, the next condition is difficult to find. Their keyboard and mouse must be able to move even a mosquito like Jia Yan. This is difficult. After all, although Jia Yan is very strong, it is only for ordinary mosquitoes. Okay, don't waste the next time. Jia Yan keeps working hard. He tried his best and spent almost 5 minutes putting the game screen on the taskbar. From the desktop, by holding the pen cap and hitting the mouse button, I forcibly clicked right-click on the penguin icon, and then left-clicked open. Damn, this is really exhausting, Jia Yan almost collapsed. Moreover, these steps took him a lot of time. Jia Yan found that if he did not continue to increase his speed, he might not be able to make it in time. Jia Yan, you can do it. It can be faster. You can use more strength. You still need to apply for a small QQ account, otherwise if you log in with a large account, others will think it is haunted. Jia Yan was really speechless. He started to control the mouse again and applied for a trumpet. Finally, after going through a tedious process, in half an hour, he applied for a trumpet account, entered the number and password into QQ, and logged in. The system sound was turned down to very low, and after a few beeps, the unique and slender friend interface was displayed in front of Jia Yan. Of course, the trumpet you just applied for does not have a single friend. Can't rest, now is not the time. Jia Yan moved his legs and feet, then picked up the ballpoint pen cap and hit the mouse. Add friend. Enter your QQ number to search. Yesterday afternoon, I thought the content of the chat between the two killers was very important from the beginning, so I basically wrote down their conversation. Especially that QQ number with the beard. I dialed it in while watching the young man wearing glasses. I should remember it correctly now. Number 2763927837. Enter and find. For the sake of Zhen Lang's heart, seeing this online name, Jia Yan almost spat out a mouthful of blood. Is this still the bearded brother? You are quite old, but you still look so rough and wild on the outside. Please don't use your online name to be so inappropriate for your style, okay? Alas, I guess this eldest brother's integrity has been lost somewhere. There is no other way, I still have to add it. When Jia Yan applied for a trumpet account, he specifically chose the female gender, and then checked the year. He was exactly 18 years old for his age. This bearded man seems to like young girls very much. When he brags, he always talks about schoolgirls. Jia Yan applied for this account after fully analyzing the beard's preferences. Originally, in order to be more realistic, I should have put pictures of beautiful women in the avatar and in the photo album of my personal space. In this way, this guy might be added instantly. Jia Yan is waiting. It's past midnight now, and if the bearded man is sleeping, there is no other option but to wait until tomorrow during the day to find an opportunity to contact him on QQ, but there really aren't many opportunities to find a suitable computer like this during the day. After all, there are too few people who leave with their phones on for a long time during the day. Jia Yan is afraid that it will be difficult to find a suitable phone by then. It would be funny if someone comes back as soon as he opens QQ. But, the man wearing glasses once said that he went to the bar with a beard today. If he really followed this process, the possibility of not sleeping now is very high. Jia Yan continued to wait. Restore some energy at the same time. Finally, after another 15 minutes passed, the QQ icon on the computer status bar suddenly flashed. Jia Yan's eyes lit up. After another difficult move, he finally clicked on his friend's message box. The first message is a system prompt, saying that Wei Xianlang's heart has been invited by your friend. The next prompt is the other party's message. The bearded man took the initiative to speak, "Hello." Jia Yan smiled slightly when he saw the news. This guy must have believed the female gender on his profile. He was about to type a few replies. Unexpectedly, the bearded man kept talking, Hello, is the bookstore still there? Sorry, I didn't see the verification message just now. Beauty, do you still have time to chat? Beauty, don't ignore me. Are you still there? Jia Yan was dumbfounded when he saw this long list of messages. I have seen positive men, but I have never seen such a positive one. How far must this go for him to be so active even in the no trumpet account he just applied for? Come on, stop talking rubbish to him. This kind of person keeps talking rubbish more and more. I can help you and your partner Xiao Yao complete this assassination mission, he typed directly. It's already been 15 minutes since I typed this and passed the friend verification. There's no way, Jia Yan's speed is too slow. Being able to type this pattern in 15 minutes is considered to be an extraordinary performance by him. Send. Jia Yan stared at the screen to see how the other party would react. Who are you? 2 minutes later, Wei Xunzilang's heart finally replied with these 3 words. To be continued. Good morning. 3 updates today. This is the first update. Please collect, recommend, and reward. The second update is around 13:30 noon, and the third update is around 20 p.m. Thanks to book friend Z278187085 for the tip. Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito. Author, Bulletin U. Chapter 27. Jia Yan really wanted to answer something like you don't have to worry about who I am. But what he faced was a killer. If you say this, Juibu will never talk to you again. So he thought about it, carefully deleted it again and again, and typed it out. My name is Drug Addict, maybe you know me. Jia Yan is betting. How could he, a former ordinary college student, be familiar with this kind of killer who walked in the dark? So he had to use the only name that he knew and that the other party might also know to deceive him. Now I hope that the addict on the express train is really as famous as the Northeast Wild Tiger said. He was a powerful figure who fought with the 3 top killers in the United States and assassinated pirate leaders. Although Jia Yan really doesn't know how powerful the so-called 3 top killers are. No matter how you put it, it sounds better than the 2 bearded killers who kill ordinary rich people and think they have no clue, right? Are you a senior drug addict? Impossible. He has given up smoking in recent years. Who are you? The handsome guy's profile picture flashed, and he called with a series of questions. Who says I'm done with it? I've just been feeling a little unwell recently. Now I've got some medicine from the Siberian wild tiger and I'll do something for him as repayment. Jia Yan continued to say that this was basically all the news he knew. If the other party still didn't believe it, there wasn't much he could do. There was no response to this message for a long time. In fact, it took Jia Yan 2 hours to communicate with the other party, and it seemed to be 4 o'clock in the morning. Jia Yan felt a little nervous. The greatest resources and power he can use now, and the power most likely to work with him to deal with the Yu family, are these 2 killers encountered on the road. If he can get their help, the possibility of killing Yu Yuan will be greatly increased, but if he can't get it, Jia Yan will have to go to the hospital, find some seriously ill viral patients, absorb their blood, and then inject it into Yu Yuan, let him also be infected with the virus. But this is a bit unpredictable. Because mosquitoes have virus resistance, no one knows whether it is strong or not. Of course, mosquitoes are not high-level animals with complex structures like humans. They are insects, and even many of their organs are very simple. This also means that they are not infected with many viruses that only high-level animals can be infected with. Take the simplest example, such as hepatitis B. Mosquitoes don't even have the so-called liver organ. How can they be infected with the hepatitis B virus? But their virus resistance is only strong for humans, not necessarily compared to similar insects. Many people think that mosquitoes are virus spreaders, and they think that their virus resistance will be as strong as flies. But in fact, flies and sharks are 2 creatures on the earth that are immune to all diseases, and mosquitoes are beyond their reach. Jia Yan didn't dare to try. If he randomly tried some pathogens and the pathogens could make mosquitoes seriously ill, he would die. Therefore, if you can get external assistance, try your best to get it. If it doesn't work, then implement those dangerous plans. While waiting for news, Jia Yan opened the web page and searched hard for keywords such as mosquitoes get sick and mosquitoes are infected with viruses. Before this, Jia Yan had no professional understanding of biology, so he still had a certain understanding of the immune system and mechanisms of animals. Therefore, some articles on web pages can be understood directly. Mosquitoes have several powerful bactericidal enzymes that can kill most viruses. And in fact, mosquitoes are vector organisms, and they can transmit viruses to infected organisms. Therefore, in the long history of evolution, those viruses have chosen not to infect and harm vector organisms. It is a typical life history of an arbovirus. This arbovirus must rely on vector organisms such as mosquitoes to survive, so it is impossible to infect mosquitoes. But this arbovirus is not all viruses after all. Some viruses can still harm mosquitoes. After a short period of browsing, Jia Yan learned more about his own secrets. At this time, another message flashed in the chat box on the taskbar. Whether you are a senior drug addict or not, it's nice to meet you. The bearded man seemed to have changed his conversation style and became very polite. Yes, regardless of whether I am or not, we just need to be able to cooperate. I believe you will not think that I am a member of the Yu family. If I were, I would have asked them to take people to 159 Changli Road where you rented. I'm arresting you. Jia Yan continued to drop a bombshell. When he entered the rental house with the two killers, he also wrote down the house number of the rental house. Say it now to shock the other party. Sure enough, this time there was no response for a long time. As a killer, someone secretly knew their whereabouts, but he didn't notice at all. The two people seemed to be frightened. Jia Yan believes that the two people are negotiating together in front of QQ now. His guess was correct. Although it was still dark in the early morning, at the rented residence of the two killers, the two of them were already sitting in front of the computer with solemn expressions, looking at Jia Yan's newly registered account. During the silent period just now, the two of them checked the room and conducted certain inspections downstairs. They found that there were no suspicious people, and even some specially arranged traces had not been touched. Xiao Yao, what are the intentions of this person? Is he really planning to cooperate with us? Lu Xiaozi touched the whiskers on his face and asked in confusion. Maybe it's because he wants to cooperate, but it could also be a trap. The young man wearing glasses sat next to him. Under his thick lenses, he was full of thinking. TCH, saying it is the same as not saying it. The bearded man shook his head speechlessly. Then do you think this person is really a senior drug addict? Impossible, the young man responded quickly this time. There are two reasons. First, it is impossible for senior addicts to pay attention to small characters like us. Second, if senior addicts want to kill anyone, except who among those high-ranking officials of the country cannot be killed? Do you need to cooperate with us? It was completely impossible for these two people to guess that the mysterious person talking to them about cooperation across the computer would actually be a mosquito with 6 legs. You are right to say that, but what if he is seriously ill and has to accept the mission of the Siberian wild tiger, and has difficulty moving and has to cooperate with us? The bearded man said that he still had some sense and said a very serious sentence. Analyze words. Your guess is possible. The young man wearing glasses nodded. Wow, what you said is impossible. You said there are two reasons. The beard almost went crazy. The young man pushed up his glasses, his expression still cold and unpretentious. In fact, this combination is like this. At first glance, outsiders would think that the beard is the one with a weak head, while the young man wearing glasses is the shrewd one who comes up with ideas. But in fact, young people are not really that smart, and beards are not really that stupid. Since the other party knows your QQ number, which is dedicated to picking up girls, and where we live, he must have more information about us. If he had malicious intentions towards us, he would have taken action long ago. Therefore, it is correct to judge that he does not have any malicious intentions, at least for the time being. The young man continued coldly, "Ask him how to cooperate." The bearded man thought about it, and that was all he could do. "Maybe it really is a more pleasant cooperation? Tell me about a cooperation method." Jia Yan was filled with joy when he saw the fonts sent on the screen. "I finally took the bait," he typed faster. "A mosquito and 2 human killers are communicating in an orderly manner. This sounds very inconsistent. 2 humans never imagined that the other person was not a human being. Therefore, in this negotiation and communication battle of wits, they are destined to be the losing party." Time passed quickly and came to dawn. The summer sun always shines on the earth very early. Although there is no trace of the sun when the sky is just getting brighter, bright light shines in from the windows, making the originally dark space very bright. "Okay, the communication is over." Jia Yan held the pen cap in his arms, his whole body looking sluggish. For him, typing is like fighting, it consumes energy and hurts the body. He bumped again and again. Jia Yan was really glad that he had practiced bumping when he was a child, and his body was familiar with the feeling. Otherwise, he would have been too much to hit the keyboard this night. He didn't even want to move. No, the desktop must be restored. Jia Yan stood up unsteadily, his 6 long legs trembling like cramps. "It hurts, severe pain. Haha, I haven't experienced this feeling for a long time. It's just like the crazy training in the wandering era. But fortunately, I hit the keyboard with the pen cap in my hand, so the impact on my body won't be too great. I'll be fine after taking a rest." Jia Yan is closing the web pages and programs he opened. It has to be said that after a night of intense fiddling, he has gained some experience and skills in playing with the mouse and keyboard. This way, you will have more chances to try a keyboard with harder keys next time. By the way, this owner is really good at sleeping and snoring. Jia Yan looked at the young man who was lying on the bed and snoring loudly. This person's face looks silly, and you can tell he's very funny just by looking at his appearance. Jia Yan closed all programs and switched out the online game page that had been offline long ago. Then, he was ready to leave. "This place is really nice, and with such an unwary owner, I can choose this place as my home base these days." Jia Yan made a decision. By scanning an ID card document on the computer desktop, Jia Yan knew that the young man's name was Fan Hafei. "Judging from the rental situation, it seems that you are single, and there is a computer available, so it is very suitable to choose this place as your home. Naturally, he needs to go out now. He needs to make some necessary investigations and preparations to kill Yun. Mosquitoes flew towards the window." To be continued. Second update. The third update will be updated around 2000 hours in the evening. I hope everyone will save this book. Thanks. Thanks to book friend Mengying Luoluo for another tip. By the way, I found out when I clicked into your space, it turned out to be a female reader. Hello beauty, haha. Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito author, Bulletin U. Chapter 28. Shanghai, as an internationally renowned metropolis, is so busy at any time. Just like during sunrise, there are basically a lot of people in front of the vegetable market and breakfast stalls. Jia Yanfei walked out of his rental house and met a group of citizens queuing up to buy breakfast at the door. There are not many breakfast shops in the city, because the rent is heavy and unaffordable, and things are rare and expensive, so this business is very good. Jia Yan didn't pay much attention to the popularity of this breakfast shop. He just observed the sun and then flew towards the bus stop in a certain direction. His mood was a little low. Not only because of last night's exertion, but also because of the place he was going to next, which was a special place he would never forget. We didn't wait long, the morning bus came swaying. With the experience of riding in the city and being with humans these days, Jia Yan got on the bus without any accidents. People who get up early are generally in a drowsy state. Some people did see Jia Yan's flying posture, but they only took a glance, opened their mouths, and held back what they wanted to say. I don't have much energy in the morning. Jia Yan took advantage of the car to feel a little confused. Insects also need to rest. Although it is not the same as sleep as humans call it, a little relaxation has the same effect as sleeping for insects. Of course, as mentioned earlier, Jia Yan can sleep and even dream, but his situation can only be regarded as a special case. After riding the bus for almost half an hour, Jia Yan changed to another bus. 10 minutes later, the bus he took arrived at the suburbs. The stop here was the terminal, and Jia Yan flew off the car. Looking at the unforgettable scenery around him, Jia Yan became even more silent. He flew forward. Soon after, Jia Yan came to a trail that branched off the main road. This area was once an important economic transformation trial zone launched by the Shanghai municipality. There were some communities and buildings in it. However, due to some problems, the projects and approval procedures here have been stuck, and as a result, there are signs of unfinished projects. There are very few cars here, and even one won't come for several hours. Jia Yan controlled his body and flew to the road in front of an unfinished building. There is nothing different here for others. But for Jia Yan, this place is simply an unforgettable hell. It was here that he was beaten violently by several security personnel hired by the Yu family, and finally died of hatred. Even when he was dying, he was left on the side of the road, and then it was said that it was a car accident. Car accident? Is it possible? In a place where no birds lay eggs? The pain at that time, the helplessness at that time, I will want you to return all these right away. Yun. You will also die here, in my hands. Everything I have tasted at that time, you have to try again. Scumbag, you will die in 2 days. Jia Yan was reluctant to recall the indescribable feeling of death, so he slowly controlled his body and flew towards the darkness on the side. He is waiting. Finally, the nascent sun gradually rose, and the time reached about 9 o'clock in the morning. A silver, domestically produced van with no special appearance drove near this unfinished building. Xiao Yao, is this here? In the car, the driver with a beard asked the young man wearing glasses behind him. The expressions of these two people are very solemn. If it is really a trap, the best time for the other party to take action is now. They all carry guns and even a few grenades. If something bad happens, they will have to find a way to escape. However, since the other party has so much information on their side, and there are so many ways to trick them, they probably won't spend any energy chatting online to trick them out, instead of ambushing them. It should be right here. The young man wearing glasses sitting in the back row had a small laptop in his hand. His fingers moved on the keyboard, and then he could see the 2 points of the map on the screen overlapping. I'll go down, if anything happens you support me. Bearded man opened the car door. The two men were talking in the car. Unexpectedly, a male Anopheles sinensis, which was much larger than ordinary mosquitoes, flew out from the darkness of the roadside when the car stopped, and then lay on top of the car. It seems that he is eavesdropping on what the insiders are saying. That's right, Jia Yan was eavesdropping. The other party was guarding against him, so why wasn't he guarding against the other party? The bearded man looked alert as he walked step by step to the entrance of the ruined house on the first floor. He looked around and then walked into the first floor. And a mosquito that was following him wandered around and followed him into the first floor. The room that person mentioned about turning left should be right here. After Beard walked into the first floor, he saw a room on the left side of the hall of the rough room and walked straight over. Jia Yan, who was following behind, looked at the room on the right with some confusion. The room on the right was also the place where he suffered before his death in his previous life. The reason why the meeting point with Beard and the others was placed on the left was because he never wanted to see the view of the room on the right again. The bearded man had already entered the room on the left. Jia Yan quickly flapped his wings cautiously and followed up from a high place. What does that person mean? Just put the things in the corner of this room. What kind of mystery is this? If someone takes it away before he comes, it will be a big joke. The bearded man stood in the empty room, frowning. This building was probably built to be a small hotel or something like that. The room on the left is used as a storage room or staff lounge, so it's not big. The bearded man had something in his hand. Jia Yanfei was flying high, almost close to the ceiling, his compound eyes looking coldly at the beard below. Whatever, I'll just deliver the things anyway. The other party knows all our information, but we can't see them. This kind of cooperation is really unfair. The bearded man cursed, then placed a small jar of something in his hand on the ground. Jia Yan looked at this extremely small bottle from high in the sky. The bottle was only about 2 centimeters high and filled with a red liquid. With shaking, this red liquid continues to flow inside the bottle. The liquid inside seems to have a kind of magic, which makes people fascinated. The bearded fingers very carefully opened the cap on the bottle. Then he stood up and left the room. Jia Yan's compound eyes flashed. After looking at the bottle below, he looked at the beard leaving the door of the building. Then his wings vibrated and he followed the beard. How's it going? Is there anything going on? When the bearded man returned, the young man with glasses who was waiting impatiently in the car couldn't help but ask. It's okay. Beard opened the driver's seat door and sat down. Xiao Yao, do you think this person is observing us somewhere? The bearded man looked around and asked quietly. It's very possible, and he asked you to open the bottle cap of CHR-379 and put it in the room. It's probably a warning. You know, many highly toxic potions will emit a strong smell, and there are also some portable devices. Toxicity can be detected through smell from a distance. You mean, after we leave, this person will use some kind of equipment to test at the door, and then enter the room after confirming it? No wonder he asked me to open the bottle cap first. This is too vigilant. Beard shook his head in disbelief. This is why you can't become a top killer. If you don't even have this vigilance, it's difficult to become a top killer. But we really didn't do anything. That bottle of potion is the real CHR-379, a kind of nuclear polyhedrosis virus variant. The young man smiled. Let's go. We have already expressed our goodwill and full intention to cooperate. It depends on whether the other party is trustworthy. The bearded man nodded, then started the van, and with the sound of the engine starting, slowly returned to the original road. And just where the car left, Jia Yan's huge male Anopheles mosquito body was floating in the air. He heard all the conversation between the two just now. In this way, he can be sure that the other party is indeed not doing anything. CHR-379, a nuclear polyhedrosis virus variant. Jia Yan was silent for a moment, then flew back to the room on the left side of the hall of the unfinished building. Now the biggest variable in my cooperation with the other party is this thing. Jia Yan's negotiation with these two killer men seems complicated, but it is actually very simple. There was not much communication, and even the whole process could be said to be in a semi-threatening situation by Jia Yan. Time returns to early morning. What if we say we're not interested in working with you? Jia Yan, who had just proposed cooperation, saw such a message flashing on the screen. His reply was not quick, but it was still so concise. Unfortunately, I will tell the Yu family your information. I believe you will live a happy escape life. The other party was silent for a long time again, and then sent a message as if admitting defeat. Okay, so what kind of cooperation method do you think of? You probably won't think about it. Let us be your cannon fodder and shield. Jia Yan held the ballpoint pen cap and slammed it on the keyboard. Then, on the computer screen of the young man with beard and glasses, a row of messages flashed up. No, no, no. To be continued. The first 3 updates of this book are completed. Phew, so tired. In other words, 3 updates of this book are equivalent to 4 updates of others. We have less than 30 chapters and already have more than 80,000 words. Others have more than 30 chapters, but they still have less than 70,000 words. Bulletin expressed that he is proud of the number of words in each chapter. Hey. But the effect of Songyang is not obvious. There are not many rewards and recommendations, please collect and recommend votes. Of course it would be best if there are rich people who can reward me, haha. Thanks to the brother the tiger who eats pigs for the reward, your supporting role is here, and to the book friend I laughed and cried and forgot for the reward again. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito. Author, Bulletin. Chapter 29. No, no, no. On the contrary, if you do other things, Tao, I will kill you. What? The other party responded to this question in disbelief. Of course I won't help you kill Tao in vain. In fact, my target is Tao's son, Yun. I will help you kill Tao. I just need you to do a few small things for me. Jia Yan's reply was full of domineering, as if to say, I just need a few subordinates to help me. I can solve everything you want to do, you just need to help me start. While the other party was hesitating, Jia Yan increased his speed and violently hit the keyboard with his body. This time, before the other party thought of what to say, he actually sent a message. First of all, I want to ask you something. Do you have any viruses or poisons in your hands, such as CHR-379 or something like that? The 2 people who were still hesitating to discuss almost collapsed under their chairs when they saw the news. The other party is so fierce that he even knows this, which means that almost any information on his side is known to the other party. There was already cold sweat on the face of the young man wearing glasses. Instead of wearing a beard, he sat in front of the computer and typed a reply. You already know the news that we have CHR-379, and why are you asking? We have it in our hands now. The virus-type mutant poison CHR-379 newly developed by an organization can kill people while making them look like they are infected with an unknown arbovirus, making it difficult to detect a murder. Arbovirus. Jia Yan on the computer side fell into deep thought. The news about CHR-379 was heard by Jia Yan while driving in the van. He could tell from the name and the tone of the killer's words that it was a virus or poison. Now I am asking this deliberately, not only to get information about this poison, but also to scare the 2 killers even more. I even know such small information about you. It shows how big the gap between the 2 sides is. Do you still dare to resist or be careful? Jia Yan's series of conversations are not lies. Help them kill Tao, and then the other party will provide you with a little help. Of course, this little help may be really small in the eyes of the 2 killers, so small that the other party may really only have 2 underlings left, and they can just pull them out as their underlings at will. But for Jia Yan, who is just a little mosquito, this little help is an unimaginably huge help. There are too many things he can't do with his current body. Without the other party's help, Jia Yan's only choice is to risk his life, go to some hospitals to get a violent virus, and then infect Yun. But by doing this, not only could Jia Yan lose his life, but Yun could also die quickly. Yun died so happily, Jia Yan was unwilling to accept it. So, he came up with his current plan. The killer provided poison that was safe for mosquitoes, and he went to help them kill Tao. After that, these 2 people will help him deal with this bastard Yun. Anyway, that Yu Tao not only condoned and protected his son's murder, but also described his own death as a car accident. I guess he is not a good guy at ordinary times, and his right is to eliminate harm for the people. Killing Yu Tao not only gained the trust of the two killers, but also allowed Yu Yuan to experience the nightmare of life being worse than death after Ding Liman regretted his marriage. Then, it would be revenge on him. To accomplish all this, the help of the two killers is absolutely essential. There is also a premise for all this, that is, in terms of viruses, we must find a virus that meets Jia Yan's needs. So Jia Yan first asked what kind of CHR-379 he heard in the car. If it is suitable, use it, but if it will also cause harm to the mosquito's body, he must give up. At that time, he will ask the two killers if there is any virus that only harms humans. I made up any excuses, such as protecting the ecology, protecting the environment, or protecting the puppies who picked up things on the ground and ate them. Regardless of whether the other party believes it or not, we must help him get it. Because they had been frightened by Jia Yan and were afraid that Jia Yan would reveal the information about the two of them to the Yu family, no matter what Jia Yan said, they had no choice but to believe it and give their full help. The virus that has solved the biggest problem, isn't the next step simple? A tiny mosquito carrying a serious virus. In particular, this mosquito has human intelligence and a strong body that ordinary mosquitoes cannot have. Jia Yan couldn't believe it anymore. He would not find a chance to kill the two father and son of the Yu family. In fact, Jia Yan had already thought about all this when he was driving to Gishan community to save his little sister. Of course, there are too many steps to implement. They are looking for an advantageous computer and adding the other party on QQ. If you make any mistake in these steps, all your efforts will be wasted. Next is shock. This is what Jia Yan is most confident about. He has too much information about the two killers. Of course, most of the steps have been completed now, just look at the poison. After hearing the killers admit the existence of CHR-379, Jia Yan directly sent a message, "Send me the specific information about this virus." The next message the killers replied made Jia Yan very happy. "Hello, the CHR-379 we have is specially developed by the organization to kill the target. It is a nuclear polyhedrosis virus. Its body is an insect virus, that is, only insects can be infected. Sick virus particles. CHR-379 extract comes from locust virus. Among all insect species, it only causes viral damage to locusts. After extensive research, our organization has finally converted this virus particle into it can also cause fatal harm to humans, and the cause of death cannot be determined by medicine at present. It can only be detected as an arbovirus infection, and it is impossible to make a judgment that it is the killer. Nuclear polyhedrosis virus. A virus that only works on locusts. After Jia Yan read the news, he immediately went online and searched for information about nuclear polyhedrosis virus, and found that it indeed existed. Browsing through it hastily, he then switched back to the chat interface and typed a row of words carefully. Will your CHR-379 harm other biological species besides humans and locusts? No specific sample research has been done, but the organization has done sample research on dozens of common insects and mammals, and found that CHR-379 is not harmful to them, so it can be roughly concluded that this virus variant, harmless to humans and locusts. Very good, then around 9 o'clock, you will take a small bottle to the place I directed, open the lid and put it there. Don't ask why. Jia Yan gave the order directly. Then, he sent the other party the address of the unfinished building. As for how to kill Yu Tao next, and what to do with the two killers, Jia Yan didn't say anything. Because then, it was done. If the owner of the house Fan Hafei wakes up and sees that the game is closed on the computer screen, but a lot of messy software is opened, and QQ is open, and he is chatting with some killer, he will be so scared that he faints. Therefore, Jia Yan just hurriedly talked to the other party and went out. After that, he took a bus and went to the place where he died. Next, two killers in a van arrived. Both parties have completed the handover of items. Jia Yan watched the killer's van gradually move away. He flew back into the room. Looking at the small bottle of items on the ground, Jia Yan's pair of compound eyes lit up slightly. This small bottle of liquid medicine will be my strongest method now. He believed that the two killers would not lie to him. After all, they would never have thought that the user would actually swallow it into his own stomach and then inject it into others. Even the most thoughtful killer would never have thought that the person communicating with them in front of the computer would be a mosquito. So there is no use in playing tricks on the potion. Even if it turns into poison, go to Shuyuan, nor is it the people who threaten them who inject themselves. But, I still can't completely believe them. There was coldness in Jia Yan's eyes. Perhaps the nature of cold-blooded animals was already affecting his mind. Jia Yan flew up from the room. His eyes scanned. There are many shrubs near the unfinished building, and there are some insects flying everywhere. Soon, Jia Yan's eyes became colder, and he found a target, an Anopheles sinensis mosquito of the same species as Jia Yan. Of course, compared with the current Jia Yan, this Anopheles sinensis is completely small, not even as long as one of his legs. Jia Yan flew over and clamped the Anopheles sinensis mosquito between his two long legs with lightning speed before the opponent had time to react. This mosquito was a male. It had no idea that the giant species in front of it would actually attack it, and it kept struggling in fear. But how could its power be comparable to that of Jia Yan, who was not only huge but also mutated? Not long after, Jia Yan took the mosquito and flew back to the room where the potion was placed. He stuffed the whole mosquito into the mouth of the bottle. To be continued. Thanks to book friend Z278187085 and Beauty Menying Luolugo for tipping again. By the way, why have everyone's rewards changed to 10 points? Baiyu also hopes to earn some money to buy cigarettes through tips. 555 Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito author, Bulletin U. Chapter 30. This male Anopheles sinensis struggled hard, but his entire body was immersed in the potion and started flopping directly on the water surface. Jia Yan was careful not to be splashed by the potion, then stood by the potion bottle and observed carefully. 10 minutes later. Very good, at least this mosquito has not had any reaction so far. It is initially judged that it will not do much harm to me. And even if there is a little damage, even this mosquito will not cause death directly. With my mutated physique, it certainly will not. Not the slightest threat. The light in Jia Yanfu's eyes became even brighter. Yun, your death is coming. The sun sets in the west, in the evening. Fan Hafei, a young worker who had been busy all day, dragged his tired body back to his rental apartment. He is an aluminum window installer. It has been more than half a year since I came to the metropolis of Shanghai to work alone. Like every young man who has an urban dream, Fan Hafei always wants to rely on his own strength to gain a foothold in this bustling city. But reality is like a bayonet, tearing apart the fragile dreams of young people, destroying them so much that they never dare to think about them again. The wages earned in the Shanghai Stock Exchange are relatively high, but the prices are also extremely exaggerated. Fan Hafei has already thought about giving up his dream and returning to his hometown in the countryside. I hung up and was disconnected last night. I was really depressed. Otherwise, I would have reached level 60. Fan Hafei's biggest hobby outside of work is playing games. He plays a popular game while working, and the level is actually ranked in the top 100, which is amazing. When he returned to the rental house, he couldn't wait to look at the computer that was on. Very good, I didn't get disconnected during the day, and I've leveled up again. Fan Hafei looked very happy. Before I had time to take a shower, I just played games there with my bare feet for a while. What does this smell like? It's so smoky. Fan Hafei, who was staring at the screen, didn't notice that a mosquito flew into the room from the window, but he was suddenly choked by the smell of his stinky feet. I smelled this when I first came back. This guy didn't wash his feet before sitting down to play. It stinks so bad. Jia Yan seemed to have returned to that smelly little pond, and the whole room was filled with smell. Some mosquitoes are very fond of people with smelly feet. I don't know why. Naturally, it is impossible for Jia Yan to like this taste. Looking at him like this, he doesn't know how long he will play on the computer. I'll help him take a bath early. After taking a bath, he will relax and feel sleepy. Jia Yan was thinking a little bit evilly. Then, in the darkness, he carefully flew to the back of the owner of the house. Fan Hafei was shirtless. He thought that lighting mosquito coils would prevent mosquitoes. Little did he know that Jia Yan was now very resistant to mosquito coils. Lying on the smooth back, Jia Yan smelled blood. It just so happens that I haven't sucked blood here for 2 days, so I'm quite hungry. Jia Yan did not hesitate and stabbed Fan Hafei's back quietly with his mouth part. After all, I am already a mosquito. Isn't it natural for mosquitoes to suck blood? Jia Yan felt slightly sorry in his heart. At least he had confirmed that he would not infect others with the virus before he sucked blood. After a while. It's so itchy. What kind of broken mosquito coil is this? I even get bitten by mosquitoes when I light it. Go take a shower, it will make it less itchy. Fan Hafei grabbed his back and went to take a shower. Why are you still playing this game? I'm addicted. I'll turn it off for you later, just to correct your internet addiction, haha. Jia Yan smiled happily and hid in the dark to wait. Tomorrow is the day when Yu Tao returns from abroad. Jia Yan wants to confirm Yu Tao's specific itinerary with the 2 killers tonight. If possible, he would like to do it tomorrow. Jia Yan wants Yu Yuan to die quickly, otherwise, his little sister will do something stupid like yesterday one day. When Fan Hafei came back from taking a shower, his body smell was indeed much lighter. He sat barefoot in front of the computer and played online games. Still playing? Check out the news on the web, or watch videos or something, and I can watch it together. What's the point of playing games? After waiting for almost an hour, Jia Yan, who was hiding under the bed, became impatient. He continued to fly. Fan Hafei was controlling the game character to kill other players, staring at the screen with bright eyes. He was probably focused entirely on the computer. Jia Yan quietly climbed onto his back. Wow! It's so itchy. Garbage mosquito coil. After a moment, Fan Hafei yelled, pressing the mouse with one hand and scratching his back desperately with the other hand. Jia Yan hid under the bed, feeling happy in his heart. It's so fun to tease this guy. Because of the severe mosquito bite, Fan Hafei did not insist on continuing to play the game this time. Instead, he turned on the idle function and let the computer automatically fight monsters. Others hid under the mosquito net and began to call their families. Mom, I'm fine. The salary here is 5,000 per month. Well, I will pay attention to safety. It's okay. I will go back during the Chinese New Year this year. There are also 4,000 in the county. But I still think it's better here. Dad, stop talking. The boss is so kind to me. What you said can't be considered until I go back during the Chinese New Year. Jia Yan hid under the bed, listening to Fan Hafei chatting with his family, and thought of his own family. There is infinite melancholy in my heart. Fortunately for young people like Fan Hafei, although he came to work alone in other places, he could at least go home often, even if he couldn't make it. There are also family members who will accept their failures. But what about Jia Yan? After he was reborn, he was just a little mosquito. When you are alive, you are a person, and when you die, you are still a person. Pain and loneliness, happiness and sadness, all these are felt only by himself. No home. Jia Yan huddled in the corner, listening to Fan Hafei's call, imagining that he was hanging up the phone with his parents. What if I am still that young man who, although his grades are not very good, is still a second-level student after all? Now you can also hang up the phone with your parents often, right? Why didn't we have a phone call every day before? Even if you just ask, "Mom, have you eaten yet?" that's fine. The dark mosquitoes were hiding under the bed, and their bodies were hunched over, making them look so lonely. Not long after, the sound of heavy breathing came from the bed. Fan Hafei fell asleep, and Jia Yan also recovered from his emotions. No matter how oppressive life is, life must be passed. Struggle. Even if you are a mosquito, you must work hard to survive. Jia Yan flew up and found that Fan Hao was not only asleep, but also started to snore. From yesterday's observation, we know that this young man sleeps very hard. Jia Yan picked up the ballpoint pen cap placed under the bed and flew to the computer with great relief. Compared to him yesterday, Jia Yan is a familiar person today. Don't hesitate to close the game and open QQ. Poor Fan Hafei, his plan to hang up the game failed again tonight. It is estimated that if he plays a few more times, this guy will give up this game. Maybe he will be sad and actually give up his internet addiction. Jia Yan thinks he has done a good thing. The handsome Korean oppa's avatar in For the Heart of the Dragon Boat Festival really lights up. No matter how many times I've seen him, Jia Yan always criticizes him for having such a beard, and he still uses this avatar to deceive people. Even if the deception is successful, well, when the girl meets you and sees the devilish look on your face, it will be easy for her to slander you. Tell me Yu Tao's itinerary tomorrow. Jia Yan quickly typed this and went straight to the topic. He will take the flight at 23:25 this evening, taking off from Paris Charles de Gaulle Airport and arriving at Shanghai Puxi Airport in China at around 16:35 p.m. He will be accompanied by 4 security forces. These people are soldiers, and someone even won a high ranking in the international military competition. When they arrive in China, they will take the extended version of the bulletproof Land Rover that greets the staff and arrive at the Mingxia building, the main office building of the Yu family company, for office contacts and meetings. I estimate that they will return home around 2300 hours midnight, too. It's the Yu family courtyard. After reading these messages, Jia Yan had to admire the professional abilities of these killers, and at this time, Yu Tao had not even gotten on the plane, but he had already understood his itinerary so thoroughly. He thought about it. Then typed this carefully. Tomorrow, I will find an opportunity to attack, and I will use the CHR-379 you gave me. However, don't forget about helping me kill Yuan. If you dare to escape, you can also try it and see if you can be there by then. A day escaped from my hands. The words Jia Yan sent out were full of threats. He believed that the 2 killers had been frightened by him. They didn't find any clues. Jia Yan knew everything about the situation. Now Jia Yan mysteriously said that he had the ability to hunt down and kill them within a day. It was really big. Maybe believe it? Of course, Jia Yan is not without his back UPS. Before setting off to kill Yu Tao tomorrow, he will go to the homes of the 2 killers. Watch these 2, if they try to escape, then I'm sorry. Since he wants to hinder Jia Yan's biggest wish after his rebirth, he can only let one person taste CHR-379 first, while the other one stays and continues to help him with coercion and inducement. Anyway, these 2 are killers and must have killed people before. If Jia Yan kills them, the psychological burden will not be too heavy. To be continued. Please collect. Just click Add to Bookshelf on the book page. This book will be running naked for a week, and we urgently need your help to get through this difficult time. Thanks to the little brother I laughed and cried after watching it, and the beauty Meng Ying Luoluo for tipping me again, thanks.